Brody has been playing really well. He had a really good train game, but sadly, he didn't manage to carry it through. But, you know, with Endpoint, like I said before, I would have expected them to actually choose something like Mirage, but I'm not too sure if I remember just then, but London Lynx actually did ban that, because of course, they've seen how well they play against Fish on that, so it makes perfect sense as to why they had that ban, considering how consistent Endpoint are. But as we see now, London Lynx will be starting on that T side, and we'll have to see how this pistol round goes.
So this looks like a weird anti-strat from Endpoint, or a very odd pistol at least. They've got 4 players in pit. It's a very odd... I don't think I've ever seen that before, which they must have some sort of knowledge about it, but the way, you know, the T's are just making loads of noise here, and they're doing a classic fake towards B. So this is actually a strat that Kaz 3 years ago used to run, and it was very easy to counter, because as soon as you if you had somebody there hearing, you'd hear them drop off the ledge, you could predict it right from the round start. But this could be rough for Pulse.
I was literally just about to say that. Pulse on his own, so it's not going to be the greatest thing at the moment, but you can see a couple of members of Endpoint will be trying to rotate, but of course London Lynx now will be coming in to execute that B site. But we haven't seen too much yet. Pulse is waiting patiently for the rotation from the rest of Endpoint. Just try and get a few shots in. Managed to get Brody a little bit, but not too much. But he's making the right play now just to try and be as passive as possible. But managed to get 2 for himself. Managed to get almost 3, but Trouble, of course, will take it from him. And Pulse again on his own on that B site, but he's going to have some serious trouble here trying to get that defuse.
Yeah, I have to say, it's a hell of a gamble from Endpoint, if I'm honest. Like, 4 players on one site is just on its own is a gamble on its own. But they had them in pit, so there's no way of them hearing any sound cues towards apps, second mid, anything like that. And, you know, London Lynx, fair play to them, they've had a strat there, which, you know, sometimes that doesn't work, but in that situation, it's worked beautifully.
Yeah, it was quite a strange one. I'm not too sure if Endpoint have watched some of London Lynx's games. Maybe they've squinted in Inferno and realised that they do normally execute that A site quite commonly, but they definitely made that right decision, at least when they were second mid and find a few shots just to keep distraction away. They made Endpoint think, but they were there, but Casa straight off the bat with that first pick.
Yeah, good bit of damage from Cryptex. Bit of a shame, obviously, he didn't get the kill, but as far as London Lynx is concerned, that's 1 free kill on an SMG. If they really wanted to, he can now be used as, you know, a bit of a bait. He can just jump around the corner first, and then you can trade him. But it doesn't look like they're going to go for that, so they're just rushing straight across Arch to wrap. But Robin's in between them all right now.
That's a shame as well. Sadly, the Thomas will get taken out, but Trouble gets another one of his own on Robin, and it's only Max and Pulse left.
Yeah,
try and get that fuse, but I think they could be waiting for those exit frags to try and get at least some kind of economic damage down on this.
Quite a conservative buy from Pulse and Max. Like, they're both playing B. They both went for a pistol, HE, and a smoke. No Kevlar or anything. They kind of play the utility kind of eco, which on this map especially, it's quite good to do. And quite good that they didn't even manage to use them. Like, they kind of knew there's nobody at the top. We don't need to use our grenades yet. It'd be interesting to see if that kind of plays a part in this next round, just because, you know, you've got 2 grenades there. Somebody can probably buy another one if they need it, and, you know, you can make a set push, something like that from the get-go.
I don't think they'll be too fussed so far. I think you mentioned before with Endpoint was the fact that when they won that pistol round on T side, they literally just sweep the whole map, didn't they? And of course, from knowing that, Endpoint have a really good T side on Inferno, so I don't think they'll be worried too much considering their circumstances. It's still early days. They haven't even got to the first buy round yet. And of course, this will be an eco.
Three tasers have been bought. So those are all A-site players, and they're all going to apps.
How much do you bet that Lynx are probably just going to all push B again?
Thing is, Trials shouldn't be in a position here to get tased at all. With the amount of utility he's got, this grenade could be a banger. Oh, no, he can go in the room. But he's got enough utility right now that he doesn't need to be in these close angles, but it looks like he's going to make the mistake, or is he just going to hold?
He's tempted. He does Molly Boiler, but he will check now, but unlucky for Quick.
There's another one.
Just misses, but Thomas is going to come straight through anyway. Manages to get him, so we get a bit of money out of that one, but now Trouble. The question is, how much will he scout out on Max? Max just barely miss him. Trouble does manage to take him and gets a little bit damage done on Pulse. He's only on 39 HP, but Brody will get that bomb down, and Endpoint, not looking too great for him so far.
Yeah, it's a bit of a, I wouldn't say caught sleeping, but Max and Balls were kind of still there with grenades out after, they got that kill on, you assume it's a lurker with an SMG on his own. You assume it's a lurker, you try and just, take some sort of map control off. Use your grenades at least. Right now, this just be some free money for Thomas. Straight to the smoke pretty much.
Yeah, at least he gets a chunk of change ready for that next round. Sadly, Brody will not be giving him that third, and of course takes out Robin as well. So this first buy round, we'll see if Endpoint can hold Lynx back, considering the circumstances past couple of rounds.
So obviously with Luzzer missing, it means they don't have that primary AWPer. So Thomas has taken that in his brains. He's figured, I can buy an AWP here. No armor, which, AWPers do like to just risk that. The question is, will he do anything too crazy? Because Luzzer's his playstyle is kind of known as being quite passive. Doesn't really go too overzealous. That sort of thing is quite defensive. And Thomas, as a player, is just innately a lot more aggressive. Even not with an AWP, just with everything else. So you can see Max and Pulse, really, they've practiced their nades beforehand for this matchup on Inferno, at least. Because they're properly lining up. Astralis recently have been known to be incredible with their grenade usage, where they average 10 damage per round with just grenades. Because, you might, if you're able to do that, phenomenal on CT especially. But they're going to be subject to a bit of a setup here towards B. Max still has his molly. If he gets it down in time, no.
Sadly for him. Does use it, but does get dropped. But Pulse does manage to get one, but again, Brody, I mentioned him before how he was fragging really well last week on Train, but it seems like he's making up for it again, being consistent, as you're knowing well. But Thomas is see if he can find anything through that smoke. Sadly, won't, but it looks like Endpoint will be saving again. It's quite difficult for him so far. I know you were saying about how great their T-side is. It's still early days, but with Endpoint now, they don't really have too much of an answer for that B site.
Yeah, it seems like they've found Lynx seems to have found a bit of a hole on that site, right? So it's the utility where they're kind of overthinking it, I think, would be the best way of putting it. So they threw those grenades over, and then they're thinking, what time's the clock? Or we need to smoke by this time usually, and they're just not, they're not reacting to the current game. They're thinking of a default game. You need to adapt and play around that. But instead, you get rounds like that where they don't really get anything going. Like Pulse got that one kill, which he was quite fortunate to do, to be honest. It was pretty much half through smoke. But right now, again, they've got grenades on Banana, but are they going to do anything special with it, or are they just going to play that same game where they just get abused onto the site? So you can see Thomas is going there now, so this is different.
Of course, yeah, you mentioned before, he will be AWPing for this Endpoint squad. Lucky those few Mac 10 kills he had earlier managed to farm the AWP, but of course, saved it last round considering his circumstances. But this might be a lot better for Endpoint, as you were speaking before, with Thomas AWPing from Banana, who does get that first pick. Sadly, doesn't get that second, and now Max is on his own, but lucky for him, Pulse will be rotating just in case anymore does push up Banana. Do you think Thomas went towards B-side with that AWP just so they can get a little bit more Banana control?
Yeah, the Banana control was a big part there, but the thing is, Lynx instantly knew it was something completely different. The molly getting thrown down, flashes being thrown down. They were quite unfortunate to not get a kill from that because Thomas peaked quite aggressively. But the fact that Thomas peaked again was just kind of a sign of, I wouldn't say impatience, but like he should know that it's not worth going for that kill. You're man up. You don't need to do that. Like, it's the plays where one kill is very important in a matchup like this because now it's 4v4. Look at the utility left on this side. They've got the one molly, it's gone down. But they don't need to run through it. They can wait. Like, Max will be here, but he can't really do anything. He's completely lost.
And Pulse is just a little bit worried because he's noticed that long A has not been held by the rest of his teammates, so he's a bit worried that someone might rack run from long to CT, but that wasn't the case. Max does get taken out, but Pulse is still waiting around the ruins. He's trying to see if Robin and Cryptix can get round from CT side to try and get some kind of retake, but right now, all members of London Lynx are not moving at all, but Travis gets a fantastic shot on him, but Cryptix does get the trade. Travis just gets two of his own, and again, London Lynx,
good trades, to be fair.
Yeah, there was very good trades, and London Lynx 5-0 up, but Endpoint will get that 5 loss bonus.
It's that B site though. It seems like there's so many holes in just the setup, at least. Like I've played with Max for many years, like known him since 2006 at this point, and
That's a long time.
it is a long time to be fair, considering we're both 21. That's a long time.
So you know each other.
I know him very well.
Each other since you were what, 9?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And he likes his, he likes getting setups down on the server. But clearly, this has been a case where he's got the setups down on the server, and they're not working in this game where they need to adapt now. Like it could have been, you could have seen it from the 4th round onwards, really.
It looks like they will be changing things up now. Trouble straight away, taking out Thomas. The Critics gets 2 of his own. Casa gets a crucial trade, but Pulse does come from the bottom of Banana to take out Tararis. But as you can see, Pulse does read him, does make that right play, but Brody knows that there's that potential opportunity of Pulse making that rotation, so it's a good play by him to go back to A site.
Yeah, both players heard each other. In that instance, it's quite an odd one. Casa here, he could make some big play, which would be to just throw the guns over the wall, just so Pulse doesn't have any opportunity to save. Like, for example, this AK here, he could have disposed of that. But now there's, there would be a fighting chance for Pulse. But obviously, no armor, no kit. It's a bit of a distant shot.
And considering the circumstances he's in now, normally you do get someone hiding on that balcony, but he's double checking just to make sure. But on 23 HP, he hasn't really got too much to work with. He's trying to find anything he can, but sadly for him, Lynx won't give him any kind of opportunity at all, and he will be saving that AK. And going back to it as well, I think Thomas with York going to B site was perfectly fine. It wasn't obviously just for that Banana control, but the past few rounds, I think they just struggled to find any information on what London Lynx were doing in terms of that Banana, if anyone was there or if they pushed up or not. But so I think that was the right play to play aggressive, but maybe it's just a little bit too aggressive, possibly.
I think it was just overzealous, wasn't it? It was just the fact that he got the first kill and he re-peaked, which, like, it's just, again, like, you don't need to. Like, it's, these risks, like, there's a lot of, risk-reward that some people don't seem to quite understand, or grasp at least, where, if I make this move and I get, there's a possibility that I get 5 kills, but the chance of me doing that is like 1%. But I'm going to do it anyway, because that sounds incredible. It's one of those things where it's not worth it. You can easily make a play which is like 75% success rate, get the 1, and then build from that. Yeah,
when it's stats like that, that's when it comes to your, not your work ethic, but your discipline on holding certain sides. But it seems like now, thanks to the utility, they managed to get some kind of control on that Banana.
Okay, so they're planning to hold it fully. So they've used every grenade other than that flash that Pulse has. But the issue is, beyond about 50 seconds, they now have no grenades left. At London Lynx, so the players at Banana should be logging like the grenades. Like 2 mollies used, 2 flashes used, they used 2 grenades too, they used both smokes. And now you can see they've already taken Banana back off them. It is 50 seconds in the round, or 50 seconds left rather. And because of that change, Thomas is rotated off with his smoke, so he can use it as soon as he arrives, pretty much instantly. And that means the time on the round completely changes. But that kill from Brody changes it even further, because right now, Endpoint needs to commit a 3rd man towards the A site, just in case. Thomas uses smoke, he kind of needs to go.
Yeah, at the moment, Max is waiting on short, but Cryptix is keeping on long, make sure no one goes through Arch to wrap around or anything like that, but Max gets a crucial kill there on Trouble. But so far,
fade.
And sadly for them, Thomas does get 2. Unlucky doesn't get the 3rd, and Brody does manage to take him out, and Cryptix gets one of his own, leaving one member of London Lynx alive, and of course Pulse will take him out. So took a few rounds, but Endpoint is starting to adapt and managed to get their first round on the board.
I think the big thing there was obviously the switch to the rotate was a good move. And also Max making that play towards quad, getting that info at mid was massive, because they'd already risked the rotate for Thomas, because Cryptix had Arch, Max had quad, it was perfectly fine. And obviously getting the info was massive, absolutely huge. And now Pulse has got an AWP. So in that matchup against Lynx Lynx last time, he was quite a big factor on this, with his AWP. So I'm kind of interested to see, because obviously the economy hasn't been with them this half, really, has it?
Nah, not too much. It was actually last round the first time Endpoint managed to get full utility down. Even though they did the round beforehand, they only had 2 umps, so there's only so much they could have done depending on their positioning.
It was a solid nade. So this is the first time that London Lynx have not committed anybody towards Banana. Like, they threw the regular molly at the top, but Pulse has completely got control now. He doesn't have to worry about anything. They don't even have another player with him. So this is going to be a full-on 4v5 execute by the looks of things. Like, if this round goes any further, it's their last opportunity.
Yeah, this is the great thing about Inferno as well, is the fact that when one member does get full control of Banana, that's when you know that you can kind of stack
It's going to be
more towards the A site. And yeah, these XC Thomas is waiting for him. Does manage to take him out, but does get traded off by Trials. Casa does take out Max in the end, but Robin still hiding pit, gets 2.
The issue is Pulse is so far away, he still needs to make a solo play to just live. Yeah. Quite unfortunate, really. I was surprised he stayed alive at back pit for so long. Normally, if I was playing there, they were all looking at me. Instead, they were looking at Thomas at quad, so it's quite fortunate for him.
It's just one of those things. It's just typical, isn't it? You watch someone else and they spend an extra 5 seconds, like, wondering if they're in pit, just taking their time throwing a molly. But, of course, if it was us, they would just rush straight away through pit, not even worrying about library or long at all. Yeah. That is typical. But looking at the stats so far, things are looking quite even. Of course, with Endpoint, a few of the members not looking too great in the stats department, but it's only round 9, so it's still early days. But Brody will be trying to get back that banana control, but sadly for him, does barely miss Max on that banana.
Oh, he got spammed straight through the apps. Because Robin bought a taser again, and he was planning some interesting moves, I suppose is the best way of putting it. This is a sandwich waiting to happen, though, on Arch. I feel like Thomas has gone a bit too early.
Sadly for him, Max will get taken out, so Trouble does get 2. And of course, Casa does finish Cryptics off. So this is a very different Lynx we've seen compared to before.
Yeah, I think it's... Obviously, those first 3 rounds, when you lose the pistol CT anyway, it is a given. Unless you get something spectacular, like, you know, one player getting 2 or more kills, you kind of accept you're going to be 3-0 down. You hope to get that first buy, but first buy, they seemed a bit lost. And obviously, that's strung together. And then the reset comes in, where thankfully they didn't force back into it, because they knew, you know, it's not worth it. Lynx have got a lot of money. We don't need to force into this. And it looks like they're taking banana control quite heavily here as well on the CT side. So Robin did the smoke towards the bottom. They're going to fully face it with Robin's flash. Now they control all of it. But Lynx have instantly noticed that. They've rushed straight through mid. So this is going to cut off Robin. He won't actually expect the player there until it's too late. It's far too late now. Both players in pit need to go huge.
Yeah, that was a great play by Lynx, of course. And that wasn't even game sense. That was just pure information from each of the sites. But of course, it's looking quite close at the moment. Pulse and Max are still alive. Brody will get the bomb down. As you can see, Taurus is on, well, I was going to say it was on balcony, but we'll be waiting in pit to see. But the problem is Max only has an ump, so it's going to be quite a struggle for him from short if he get taken off guard. But Brody just barely misses Pulse. Might as well get in the second time round. Knows Max is coming from short. And Brody, carrying on from last week, just doing so well with his patience, waiting for them to actually go for that retake.
That was a very rough round to lose, round point. Like I said, there's 2 pit people in pit, need to go huge. They both got kill each. Robin even got one from library, which is quite surprising. It was a 2v5. And then suddenly in about a second and a half, 3 of them were dead, and then 2v2, you're awkward situation. You know, Max just has a UMP. Pulse has to flash himself in, which he should have died at first instance, really, because, you know, Brody missed that shot, which, you know, he'll say himself, he probably would land that 90 times out of 100, I suppose, would be the best, you know, nice way of putting it. But this pause, I feel, is a bit late from Endpoint, I imagine. It's a bit, you know, I feel like it should have come in 5-0, 6-0, you know, that sort of area, not 9-1.
I think when they took that first round after the first 5, they felt like maybe it was just one of those things where, you know, it takes a while to get into it, get into the swing of things. It's happened before. I know it's happened to me before in previous tournaments, and it's when you're playing against a team where you kind of slightly underestimate them, you kind of feel like, you know, things will be fine over the course of time. Yeah. Maybe if it was against Fish or Vex or something like that, maybe they would have used their timeouts a lot sooner. But I think they realise now it's going to be a lot of pressure. But Brody, he's going 14-1 so far, and he's just continuing to stat and doing a fantastic job. Make sure Lynx have a fantastic T-side on Inferno.
Yeah, so I thought, as well as out of that pause, they might have done something specific, at least, but it doesn't look like they did. They got the 3 players Arch, and Max had a smoke B, and he's just going to get overwhelmed. He'll probably push through the smoke. At best, he catches 1. Like that's the best case scenario here, and doesn't quite get that even. It was 93 damage, not quite enough. But you know, it's a rough situation to look at, because we're now looking at 10-1 really. There's shouldn't be a chance for Endpoint to get into this round now. And the money on the Lynx is enough now where even if they were to lose the next 2, maybe 3 rounds, they could still buy to finish the half. Like, it's such a rough situation for Endpoint to be in. I said the CT was shaky, and it still is.
Yeah, that's again another understatement. 100%. I wasn't really. I knew when you spoke about their CT side wasn't the greatest. I assumed maybe they'll take like 5 or 6 rounds, but I didn't
to get
expect
into
it to be this point.
You expect them to just slowly get into it at some point, don't you? But they just haven't. Like, it's completely different.
Yeah, and of course, it will be quite difficult for them to make some kind of comeback. But it's like you mentioned before, Endpoint, they have done their clean sweeps in the past on their T side, but this might be a little bit more different. It's, but as you can see, no AWPs for Endpoint this round again. But Brody right now, 15-1. He's only died once in the last 12 rounds.
Yeah, he's been quite consistent with the AWP. I think it's the best way of putting it. So again, the same banana control they did the round that they had to buy. Obviously, Robin's flash will come in. They take it. Last time Lynx were rushing mid. This time they're going to do Naps burst, and they knew where the other 2 players were last time. They were under balcony and back pit. They're looking for them directly as well. Question is, can they actually get Thomas before it's too late? Yeah. For me, this round's already over unless something miraculous comes out of it.
Yeah, there's not really too much they can do now. Brody does peek mid to try and take out Pulse, but Pulse does get that crucial trade, but it's not looking too bad so far. Max does get another one of his own, so it is 2v2. Trials catches him off guard, sadly. It's only Max left on his own. It's going to be extremely tough for him, considering one of the members of Lynx is in Apps already. Trouble will, of course, be waiting there until he does attempt that defuse, but Trials...
Still no kit.
Yeah, it's also in a great spot, but they're both in such perfect spots to aim that bomb, and now I think Max realises that there's not really too much he can do. He wasn't thinking
He seems
about
very
saving
convinced there was a guy on site.
Yeah,
he was so convinced there was a guy back site. He was spinning and everything. It's just, you know, it just doesn't seem like they've thought out some of the situations there. Like, they did that same banana control. The first time they did it, they got caught out. Yet they do it again without any sort of counterplay to what they did. It's just so bizarre. I don't know. They'll knock themselves seeing the VOD back. I think it's one of the things, really, because they'll see what Lynx did exactly. It's different for us. We see everything clearly, don't we? All the map, whereas they've only got what they can tell from, you know, grenade usage and stuff. Yeah,
luckily we've got a bit of X-ray, so we can you know, have a look.
Everybody loves a nice X-ray, don't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's good assistance.
Yeah, I could tell you what, I would definitely need it, but in this case at the moment, you do have all 4 members of Endpoint will be stacking on that long side, but Pulse will be going back to B side just in case they do change things up a bit. But so far, Lynx haven't really got enough information to know exactly what's happening. Of course, with Endpoint on Eco, they will expect maybe some unorthodox plays.
I think the big bit is that they're this patient. Kind of says a lot. Because a lot of inexperienced sides would be, you know, they'd be pumped that they're 11-1 up to begin with. Whereas these are just kind of like, take it slow, we need to see what kind of guns they've got, what are they using where, that sort of thing. So they get the top mid control, and it really depends what happens from here, because they've taken top mid, but if he were to smoke arch side, it would be the best thing in the world right now for them. But as soon as those grenades go off, Thomas can peek it. But it's going to be too late. Max is going to be on his own with no chance. Again, it's the same situation as that eco round about 3 rounds ago. We're seeing a lot of the same thing happen over and over again. It's a bit weird.
I think it's because of the fact that Endpoint assumed that at some stage... Oh, Max get 2 of his own. Max get 3 in the end. So the only problem is Endpoint...
It's still pistols. It's still pistols. I thought that first shot was on. I
literally thought the same, but it's like you said before, even if he does take out 3, he doesn't get the weapon. He tries to get another one, but of course Cryptics managed to get that second round for Endpoint, but I'm not sure. Well, I was going to say it could be a little bit too late, but you were talking before where...
it was only 9-6, yeah. So if they get the pistol, you catch up quite quickly. Like, you know, you get the first 3. If it was 11-4, you're 11-7. First buy, 11-8, 11-9. You know, you're getting there really quickly. Max learned from his error in the previous time he was there alone. Remember I said he has P250. He'll get 1 at most. He dinked the guy, didn't get the kill. 5-7, however, does more damage. He's got better armor pen, more damage. So it's an instant one-shot headshot from that range. So he got 3.
Yeah, so he pretty much saved him, in all honesty.
Yeah, fantastic change of weaponry.
I think the reason why Endpoint have stuck to the guns and didn't really change much of their positioning and in the situation is they probably assumed that Lynx as a whole would eventually change things up and not just stick to what they're doing. But, you know, we don't have to fix which isn't broken, and that seems to be their motto for Lynx so far. And they just felt like with Endpoint, they just made the assumption that at some stage they will change things up. But the same strategies have been working. But again, Robin will be in the pit instead of Cryptics. Thomas does manage to take out one, but Robin does see one, but does manage to take out Trouble. But sadly for him, Trials does get that crucial trade now. And again, Endpoint
3v2.
in pretty bad spot.
Yeah, the amount of times we've seen a situation where it's 2 alive on the CT side or 3 alive in a situation which, you know, they don't win most of the time unless somebody goes huge again. Like, Max has the kit, but Pulse has an AWP. Like, you gotta be thinking, we might need that AWP, but we also need rounds. It's a horrible situation to be in.
Yeah, you kind of have to risk it, like especially at this stage, because if Lynx win this 13-2 and then they win the pistol as well, it could be all over.
He doesn't have a kit. There was a kit on the floor from Max, but I think it's too late. he keeps that up, thankfully.
Yeah, at least he managed to make something. I know they lost 2 rounds, but with the money situation as well, they need to keep anything. But the main thing, of course, is keeping it up. But again, when it comes to the economy, they may have some utility, but in terms of the weapon, it's not looking too great for them.
Yeah, it's again a situation where, yeah, there's been a few rounds where they've kind of got a lot of kills in it, but you know, it's for nothing really. Like, there's some of the eco rounds they got 3 kills, but it's like, well, you still lost the round, so it doesn't change much. They've got plenty of money. This is a full banana rushed, completely out of nowhere, and the one guy he gets was through the wall.
It's typical as well because they haven't been too aggressive in the past few rounds.
Yeah,
on
and
B
they knew
side,
the
and the
AWP would be
one time, the one time they do it, I think they must have known that because Pulse did have the AWP and the economy was pretty much broken. They knew that they had to make a play which was a little bit drastic, but it was definitely well read. So Lynx's research has been pretty good, but by the look of things, if Endpoint don't make any kind of comeback in this round, which looks like it will be over, it will be 13-2. So if Endpoint want to do that clean sweep on T side, it really needs to happen. But Cricket does take out one, but of course Trials and Trouble gets that trade-off as well. But 13-2. Now, I was speaking about earlier where, you know, Endpoint will, you know, they're not too pressured at the moment. They want to keep that win streak going. But for Lynx,
this isn't the place you want to slip up, is it, really?
This is it. And with their standings at the moment, with London Lynx, they're 1-3, so they kind of need this win on the board. What a time to get a win, especially against Endpoint. Yeah,
it's just bizarre. Like, I just keep on thinking, I thought like the CT side was shaky before, but it wasn't that shaky. Somehow it feels like it's gotten worse. Which, you know, it feels like that shouldn't be possible.
Yeah, it's just weird because the first 5 rounds, even though Endpoint was able to buy sometimes, they wouldn't have full utility, so they couldn't really take much control of the map. But even now, if Lynx just win this pistol round, there is a chance it could just be all over. So, of course, Endpoint now, even if they do lose the pistol round, they can maybe force buy and bring something back, but it's not looking too good. So, it's like you mentioned before, Endpoint, if they want to keep that nice, perfect record of potential 6-0, they're going to have to make back-to-back rounds like there's no tomorrow.
Even though I've been babbling on about that CT side, London Lynx, to be fair to them, have made the correct calls when needed too. Like, you know, I've said it was stupid from Endpoint to make that play on Banana again because of what London Lynx did. But they did what was correct. So, you know, they can only do what they can, right? I'll criticize Endpoint for what they've been doing as much as, you know, I can see. But then the Lynx have been making the correct play to counter that. So, you know, it's here and there, you know, because I've played for Endpoint before as well, kind of, you know, I've got Max Slaps, like,
can't be biased
I know he
now,
should be
mate.
doing better.
Can't be biased now, mate.
I know, he should be doing better as well. It's that sort of thing, isn't it? It's just, should be doing a lot better.
Maybe you're just not a very good luck charm for them at the moment.
Not on stream for him.
I think we were talking about that before. I think we were talking about it with something else. It was last week, someone else's bad luck jump for one of the teams. But can't remember off the top of my head, but as you can see now, Endpoint have some serious work to do. And I think to start things off, they really need to win this pistol round. But as you can see now, this is going to be a quick push by Endpoint. All 5 of them going on their side, but Joel managed to take out one. Pulse gets a very crucial trade. And as you can see, Lynx had 3 members stacked up on that big side, but Trials is just trying to stay alive as much as he can. Managed to take one anyway. Managed to get 2 of his own now.
He's done perfectly here.
And if he just plays a little bit more patient, but I think he's done enough work. So at least there's an opportunity for Lynx to make this retake.
Yeah, the 2 kills was the big thing, but he probably could have stayed alive a bit longer. But I suppose adrenaline, takes over, doesn't it? Takes over.
Yeah, it's understandable in that kind of situation. Cryptix does get taken out by Brody, and Thomas, just like that, gets taken out as well. They were in such a good spot when they took it the first guy, long A. They all wrapped around perfectly, but yeah, crazy how things turned around. It just seems like they can't really get any kind of momentum going in this entire match.
Yeah, I mean, Trials is the big thing there, wasn't he? Like, he got the 2 kills from Pit. As soon as he had to turn that flash, I felt like this is game over. He's seen too many enemies at once. He kind of flustered a bit. You're trying to see everybody that's on there. And, he picks out 2 shots, which I was surprised, to be honest. He had, I think, 3 bullets left, and he got 2 kills with those last, 3. Endpoint's buy is quite interesting here. 3 Mac 10s. So they are buying with what they have. Literally, Mac 10 head armor. We'll do what we can.
Yeah, of course, they don't want to take it to OT, and they will be forcing. And then the best thing about that last one as well with Trials, not only to get those 2 kills, but straight afterwards, he knew just to delay Endpoint as much as possible, just to give the rest of the members of Lynx to make that rotation from B, which he did. So it was absolutely crucial. But now, Trouble does have a feeling that Endpoint could be pushing from Banana. We'll be waiting patiently anyway. But this round is absolutely mandatory for Endpoint. But as you can see, Pulse already gets taken out. Cryptix on 12
You didn't
HP.
see him at CT. Trials has done fantastically again. And Trouble's probably done enough in that situation. He found himself in such a weird position. And now, well, that molly's perfect as well.
He could have planted it anywhere.
And they have to play as a 2 here. This is the only way. But London Lynx, no, they need to make the play. We've got 4 players left. We've got 2 kids. We don't need to force it as much as they do right now. And as soon as they spot both, this makes it easy going. And there
Basically, easy pickings, as you can see. Trials.
Really good round from him again. He got that first kill from Coils. He then turned around after hearing Robin run through. And, Robin was kind of the linchpin in that push, because if he gets the kill on Trials there, it kind of changes everything because they've got Ruins control.
I think this issue with a lot of the teams as well is the fact that when an entire team pushes on site like that and they're quite aggressive, even if some players do get the first kill, they do kind of get a bit, like you said, a bit overzealous and do try and get a couple more. But the fact that he's so patient and make Endpoint feel really uncomfortable is one of the biggest factors in this, especially in that pistol rounds from the round previous. But as you can see now,
this is a fast push. Robin's bought an AK and he's trying to make it work. However, this boost is probably going to screw them over.
Ooh. Just like that, Brody, we've been talking a lot about the entire match, and he hasn't stopped. But Robin does get 2 of his own, so Endpoint could potentially make something of this.
And as I said, Robin wants to make it work. Gets the 3. So, you nearly got the 4th as well, actually. But it's still 2v2 now. That grenade's perfect.
Oh, wow. It's saying that Lux are coming a little bit too late. Not luck, but of course the timing. But Max does manage to finish off Trouble now, but it's going to be pretty tough. So they need to get 12 rounds back-to-backs. And what do you reckon? I know this is already probably a lost cause, so it's probably not me too much talking about it to even question this, but chances?
Well, usually people say the cursed scoreline where you can see a comeback more often is 12-3. We had 13-2, which for me just instantly says it's probably not going to happen. Especially with that pistol going the other way, it's not going to happen. I'm not sure if they're expecting Brody to have an AWP in this, because the money wasn't actually fantastic on the Lynx side, but it was good enough for them to have 2 rifles and an AWP. Which, I mean, those grenades spot on, to be fair. And they're trusting him on his own there too. If Pulse dies here, it could be quite bad, just in terms of the overall setup. He's done really well there.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Of course, anything could have happened, especially considering the crossfire they had. But Brody is still on that B site, but
But both the
Casa,
rifles were there as well. So Pulse was thinking, you know, there's 2 pistols here, I got 2. There's still 2 on the site anyway. Casa just needs to play the attention seeker to risk and clean up if need be. Only 1 man left.
Pulse will take him out. Eventually he does. So it's going to be a 1v1 between
Pulse with the
and
ace.
Brody.
Quite a big round from him.
Will he get this ace? We know how well Brody's been playing as of recently, but sadly for him, he just misses out on the ace. Great
Quite
4K.
Yeah, it was a good 4K. Obviously, the 2 kills and apps were massive, and then cleaning up, obviously, after his demons couldn't quite clear it himself. 16-3, though.
Yeah, there we have it. You are right, though. 16-3, that is very questionable. If we looked at this and we looked at this game on paper, we probably would have said maybe Endpoint 16-8, 16-9, maybe something like that on the line of things. But for London Lynx to win 16-3, not only is that an upset, but that's a shock, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, it's a demolishing upset, really, because it's just the fact that Endpoint were 5-0. Yeah, it's just one of those things where you're thinking, we were talking about them possibly getting, or